Hello and welcome to Delicious Simplicity. I'm Anna Torkakis. On the menu today we have citrus flavored flounder, Primavera rice casserole, and seasonal fresh fruit au gratin. So let's get started with the Primavera rice casserole. Primavera means spring in Italian, and so we're going to use spring vegetables in this rice casserole. First thing I want to do is heat up some vegetable broth. I need about 2 cups, and I'm going to put this to warm so it'll be hot by the time I need it. And what we're going to do is mix the rice and some vegetables ahead of time, and then put them in a casserole and bake it for about 40 minutes or so. So I'm going to heat that up. So that's going to heat up until I need it. The next thing I'm going to do is put some oil to heat in this pan. I need about 2 tablespoons. And where this is cooking, you don't really have to measure, just an approximate. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of oil in here. And I'm going to add some onions. Some I already have chopped here. Get this out of the way. And I'm going to chop the rest. So as I was saying, that Primavera means spring in Italian, so we use spring vegetables. And those are your peas, carrots, celery. So it makes a nice, light, waste-friendly casserole. Okay, we'll just put these in here. You want to make sure that your pan is hot and your oil is hot. And we'll cook those for a few minutes. We want to sort of sweat them out a little bit. And as those cook, I'm going to chop up some carrots and celery. You want a large carrot. These are not too big, as you can see, so I'm going to use 2. And I'm going to cut them in half. And then cut each piece in half again. So I'm really quartering them because I want little pieces. Essentially, I want to dice them because I want it to sort of match the size of the rice, because the rice is small, so you don't want to have big chunks of vegetables with the small rice grain. So that's done, and I'm going to put this aside here and do the same thing with the celery. Big stalk, again, these aren't that big, so I'm going to use 2. Cut these in half. And dice them as well. And it may not be a bad idea to chop those ahead of time. These onions are just ready, a little brown, but not too bad, just perfect actually. So I'm going to add the carrots and the celery in here. Oh, it's starting to smell good already. And give it a quick stir. And at this point, I'm going to add some more salt and pepper. I'm going to season them a little bit. Oh, there's a piece stuck here. Some pepper and some salt. And as usual, salt and pepper is to taste. So if you can add whatever, you know, as much as you like, or leave it out altogether if you prefer. So those are going to cook for a few minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to get started on my fruit, the seasonal fresh fruit au gratin. Now, au gratin is a French word, as I'm sure you know, and it means that it's got the food gets baked in the oven and it has crust on top, usually a sauce such as cheese or cream base. But what I'm going to do in this particular gratin, I'm actually going to use almonds and a little sugar to make that crust. Get my plate here. This is really simple. It takes all of 5 minutes. Once you slice your fruit, and it's seasonal, so you can use whatever fruit is in season or whatever you like. I'm going to be using plums, strawberries, and bananas, actually just one banana. One of the things I do with my strawberries, as soon as I bring them home, I wash them in a pot of water and let them soak for a little bit, and then take them out. And I put a piece of paper towel in the container that it came in, and then just put them back in the container, put it in the refrigerator, and it keeps for several days. So I'm going to get a knife to slice my fruit. And so I'm just going to broil these. So it takes just a matter of slicing your fruit. Strawberries I just like to cut in half. With the other fruits I'll be slicing. And so this makes a really nice light dessert for company. I had some company, a couple of friends over for lunch one day, and they couldn't believe how quickly I made this dessert. As we were chatting, you know, when they first walked in the door and went in the kitchen, and we were sort of chit-chatting for a little bit. And I was peeling the fruits, and, you know, we sat down, we ate, and then I was putting the cups on the coffee table, and the dessert was ready, and they were wondering, now, when did that happen? I said, well, it takes only 5 minutes, and you'll see how quick it is. So I'm just going to take that out. So I said you can use just about any kind of fruit that you like. I've also used oranges, like orange slices, and those work really nice. And you might think that the strawberries is an odd fruit to be broiling, but they broil for such a short time that it just softens them just a little bit. Meantime, I want to keep an eye here on my vegetables. So this is actually really a nice dessert for the summer, nice and light. And there's no set measures, too. You can use, depending on the size of the pan, is all that really determines how much fruit you want to use. Get these out of the way here so you can see better. Oh, and I got this fruit just the other day. I went down to Coloriso's farm stand down the street on Route 28 in Main Street here in Reading. Oh, they have the most fabulous fruits. I could have bought just about everything in there. They're really awesome. They have other products too, not just fruits, vegetables, meats, wonderful bread, some of them from local bakeries. It's one of my favorite places to shop. Okay, just in time here. I'm going to put this aside because I think I need to pay a little more attention here to the onions and the celery and the carrots that are doing really great. So next to this, I'm going to add tomatoes and peas and some parsley. So I'm going to get that all ready here. First I'm going to change that. Okay, so I'm going to get my peas. I need about a cup of this. So first I'm going to add some diced tomatoes in just a can, 14-ounce can. I like these diced tomatoes. If you wanted to, you could use the fresh tomatoes, this little cherry tomatoes. But I like to use these kinds here, the diced tomatoes. And again, you can make these. You can make this recipe all year round. And then I'm going to add a cup of peas. Now you could use fresh peas, but boy, I got to admit, fresh peas are so good by themselves that I really wouldn't use them in here. But you could if you wanted to. So I think that frozen peas are just perfect. I used to live in this house years ago, and one of the first vegetables I grew were peas. Oh boy, that was so good. except that it's such a short season. You know, they come in early. They come in like by the end of June, and they only last for a couple of weeks. We put that in. In the meantime, I'm going to measure out my my rice. I need a cup of brown rice. Now, I know some people, I like brown rice. I know some people don't really care for it, but this is a great recipe to have brown rice. And brown rice is a little healthier than your regular white rice because it does have a few more natural ingredients such as bran and some other nutrients. So I do suggest that you at least try the brown rice. And in this recipe, you may not even be able to tell the difference. So just going to add that in. Just give it a quick stir to make sure that it all gets mixed. And then to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley. Look at that. Look at those colors. Aren't those beautiful? It smells wonderful. So I'm going to chop up my parsley. About 2 tablespoons. I recommend the fresh parsley in this recipe only because it just goes really well and it makes just gives it one more green color. Balances off the red from the tomatoes and complements the green from the peas, believe it or not. So I'm just going to chop it. I need about 2 tablespoons. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly. Just eyeball it. That looks about 2 tablespoons. It's gonna, ooh, this smells nice, nice and fresh. I don't like that stuff in there. All right, so that's done there. The next thing I'm going to do is put it in a casserole. And in here, I'm going to add just about a teaspoon or so of oil so that things stay nice and fluid. They don't get stuck in the bottom. I'm going to rub that all around. Yep. Wipe your hands. And then just transfer it to this baking dish or casserole. Put these away. And the last step that we're going to do before we put it in the oven is pour some of this hot broth on it. So there's about 2 cups of vegetable broth in here. So this is going to be the cooking liquid. So essentially we're cooking this in the oven. There we go. I'm going to put this in the oven for about 40 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, so that's all done. I'm going to clean up here. And we get started on the fish. But before that, I want to finish my fruit, and then we'll do the fish. Now, on the fruit, as I said, you can use as much fruit as you want, different kinds. I'm just doing the strawberries, plums, and bananas today. And to this, what I'm going to add is about 2 or 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Just sprinkle that on top. This will just bring enough sweetness to it, sort of add to the sweetness of the fruit. And then I need about 1/4 cup of almonds, sliced almonds. And again, it doesn't have to be all exact. You can just sprinkle on as much as you'd like. I wouldn't put too much, but just enough to sort of cover each fruit, each piece of fruit. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to add a few more almonds here. I don't want to put too many, actually, because almonds cook really quick. So the final teaspoon, a tablespoon of brown sugar. I think there's enough here, though. All right, so then the last thing that we do is just put it in the broiler for about 5 minutes. And this is one of those times where you don't walk away. You pretty much kind of stand there. So I'm going to be really careful about how long it stays. So that's going to be in there for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, so let's get started on the fish. I'm going to turn the heat on high here because I want the pan to be very hot. Remember, when you're sautéing anything, you want the pan to be hot. Get my fish. I may have to stop midway through because I really want to keep an eye on that broiler. So the fish that I'm using today is flounder, and flounder is a nice white flat fish, and it's very mild, very figure friendly, as most fish is. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some oil to my skillet here. About a couple of tablespoons. That seems to be universal measure. So what I'm going to do is take a plate and add a couple of tablespoons of flour. I don't need that much, so I'm not going to measure it. You can just pour it, 2-3 tablespoons. And to this, I'm going to add some salt and pepper. For some reason today, I keep adding the pepper first. I usually do add salt first, so that's why I would say salt and pepper. Again, to taste. Mix it up a little bit. You keep an eye on this oil. So you want to make sure that it's nice and hot when you put your fish in it. That way it won't stick. And one way to know if it's hot enough is to just put in a pinch of flour, and if it sizzles really strong, then you know it's ready. I think that can wait a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to grab some orange juice, because I'm going to need some of this. And yeah, I'm a little nervous about that broiler. So I'm going to check on it just to make sure. Because, you know, there's a lot of fat in almonds. Actually, in any nut, there's a lot of fat in it, so they burn really quickly, from like a second if you're too late. They smell good, but I think they need just one more minute. So I think I have enough time to put the fish in here and then take it out. I can smell the oil too. So I'm going to dredge this, and as always, you want to make sure that you shake off the excess. I'm going to lower this heat too. You just want a thin coating on it. You don't want a lot. It's not, it's not fried fish. It's just a slight saute. And what the flour does is it absorbs some of the oil, so that, it absorbs some of the liquid on the fish, so that you get a nice brown color. There we go. There's a little piece left here, but I'm going to do this later. I'm going to rinse up my hand, clean this up. And yes, I do want to take those fruits out. Oh, perfect. I think, yeah, this slides out. Isn't that great? I love this oven because the rack sliced right out. Perfect. Okay, so we're not completely done with this fruit yet. The next thing we're going to do to it is add some vanilla pudding to it when we go to serve it. So for the moment, I'm just going to leave it here and let it get cool. Get back to my fish here, and it looks that one side is done. I'm going to turn it over. It should be nice and brown. Notice how it didn't stick. They're perfect. Look at that. Awesome. Also, flounder, like most of these flat fish, are very delicate. And I'm going to add a little bit more salt and pepper. And I'm going to measure out about half a cup of orange juice. Well, this is half a cup. So you see, this is really simple, and we're practically done. I'm going to add the orange juice. I'm going to get this little piece here a little further down. Oops. You could also use a haddock or cod for this too, and those are a little sturdier, so you may get the pieces to stay nice and whole. So I'm going to add my half a cup of orange juice. So this is the citrus part of it. So we're practically done with this recipe. I'm going to add a little salt just to flavor the orange juice a little bit, because you don't want it to be orange juice. You want it to have a little bit extra in depth of flavor here. All right. That cooks for about a minute or two. And we have the Primavera rice casserole baking in the oven, so that's going. That should be coming out soon. And this should be coming out in a second. In the meantime, here with the fruit, we are going to add some yellow vanilla pudding that I made already. Actually, I made it yesterday. So I have that here, and this is, as you know, when you make a pudding, it forms that crust on top, and to avoid that, what you want to do is just put a piece of cellophane paper on it, like that, so you don't get that crust on it. And we're just going to, and also you could use yogurt if you wanted to. I've used yogurt many times. Just a little dollop on top. And then you can add extra when you serve it on the plate. So we're going to plate one, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so we'll plate those in a second. In the meantime, fish is done, so I'm going to take this off. Nice, pretty color. I was really surprised when I came across this recipe with oranges, and I thought, oranges, citrus fruit with fish, out of an Italian magazine nonetheless. You know, you think of Italian cooking as tomato sauce and things like that. So this was a real surprise, really, but a pleasant one because it's so delicious. Yeah, this is very soft fish, so you want to be careful with it, and you can drizzle some of the juices over it. And then we're going to garnish this with some parsley. Put some pieces of parsley on top. I just like to break it off sometimes, just peel off the little leaves. You could cut it, you could chop it up, but I think this is just more natural looking. And one less cutting board to clean. I love the smell of fresh parsley. It's so unique. It's interesting how similar it looks to cilantro. I bought cilantro many times by accident. I've actually returned it because I don't like cilantro. So then to this, so that people know what this yellow, what the yellow sauce is on top, I'm going to garnish it with sliced oranges. I think this makes it look really pretty. Just a quick twist. Put one in each corner. There we go. How's that? And for finishing up our fruit, oh, actually this plate is cool. Finishing to plate our fruit dessert here. We've got one more thing to do with it. I'm going to serve at least, well, maybe like two pieces of strawberries and some plums. Yeah, these have cooled off really quick. There we go. And then we can add some more pudding on the side here. And the last thing is still the Primavera rice that's in the oven, and we'll take that out. That should be ready by now. Just a few more minutes. I think the Primavera rice casserole is just about ready, so let's check on that. Oh, looks perfect. Oh, look at that, and it smells wonderful. So you can see all these spring vegetables in here. They're still bubbling away. The celery and peas and tomatoes. If you wanted to, you could use fresh tomatoes, but we didn't. We used the canned tomatoes. So you can see how beautiful this looks. So today, this is it for today, and let's just go over what we did. We have here the flounder was flavored with citrus flavored, obviously with orange juice, and we garnished it with additional slices of oranges so that we know the sauce in here is flavored with oranges. And for the side dish, we have this Primavera rice, so rice with spring vegetables here. And for dessert, we have this wonderful, quick and easy dessert of fresh fruit, seasonal fruits. You could use what you'd like to in it, with almonds and some brown sugar on it, served with a yellow vanilla pudding that's also in the book, Delicious Simplicity. All these recipes can be found in the book. And we're done for today, and we want to thank Coloruso's farm stand for some of the wonderful produce that they offered us, and we accepted. Thank you so very much for joining us today, and we look forward to next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.